Picture at Los Angeles 2026.
Welcome to Out on the Lanai, the only Golden Girls podcast you're ever going to need to listen to. I am HAlanScott / Sadie Pines.
I'm Kerri Doherty, and today we're doing a Beyond Golden Girls episode where we cover the many film and TV projects that the women did outside of the Golden Girls during the course of their illustrious careers, and continuing our Pride coverage of the friendship of Betty White and Jennifer Love Hewitt. This week we watched the 2011 Hallmark Hall of Fame motion picture, The Lost Valentine.
I know we discussed this we're going to discuss more of this, I should say, in the Rusty Anchor Happy Hour, the clip you have pulled of Jennifer Love Hewitt and Betty White talking about the project and stuff. But I learned in that clip, and I think this is fun for everyone to know, that when this came out in 2011, it was part of, I don't know if it was the celebration, but it was part of the 60th anniversary celebration of Hallmark Hall of Fame TV movies.
Yeah, I learned
Isn't
that
that
as
crazy?
well. I'm going to be honest, I didn't even know that Hallmark had Hall of Fame movies. They, of course, should, and this
Oh.
definitely belongs in it. But I didn't know that this was a thing. I don't know how I missed it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so interesting to me. No, the Hallmark Hall of Fame, I looked this up, started in 1951, which is crazy because television had barely started in 1951. And it is the longest running primetime primetime series in television history, or one of, at least, in that it's like the special that has just continued on for years and years and years. And it started with on Christmas Eve in 1951 with a live broadcast of a film called Amal and the Night Visitors. I could be saying that name wrong. And it pioneered television in color.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, look, Betty White was a woman who made TV history. It only makes sense that she should be involved with the Hallmark Hall of Fame,
Well,
which sounds
which
like also
makes
maybe made TV history in some way.
Yeah, because in the clip that she said, she mentioned she always wanted to be in a Hallmark Hall of Fame. And when I heard it, I immediately was like, well, girl, I mean, you're Betty White. Of course you could be. Like, I mean, is it that prestigious of a thing? Like, no shade on Hallmark Hall of Fame, but Hallmark, I don't know the history of the Hallmark company, but I assume it started with cards. And so I didn't know that connection. But then when you hear this long, storied, Emmy-winning history of Hallmark Hall of Fame films, like, it actually is a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. And Betty got to be a part of it. And for
Yeah.
anybody who didn't listen to last week's episode, we announced that for Pride this month, we're covering the very lovely gay friendship between Jennifer Love Hewitt and Betty White.
It is so gay in a not gay way.
In a
But
not gay way.
because it's not gay, it's so gay. Yeah.
So last week we watched Betty's guest star appearance on The Client List starring Jennifer Love Hewitt. And over the next 2 weeks, we'll be watching.
It's a two-parter, baby.
Yep. It's going to be a two-parter. So Jennifer Love Hewitt did 3 episodes of Hot in Cleveland. So we will be watching and breaking those down over the next 2 weeks to round out the month of June and Pride Month.
This is so fun. The fact that we're having a two-parter of 3 episodes of Hot in Cleveland featuring Jennifer Love Hewitt, that could not be more gay. The fact that I am this excited about doing 2 episodes talking about Jennifer Love Hewitt on Hot in Cleveland with Betty White, that is so gay.
Yeah. So gay. I wanted to ask you, how did you watch this motion picture? Did you purchase it or did you watch it on?
Well, so there
app?
are lots of ways that you can watch this. This is not easily available for. Oh no, it is easily available for streaming, but it is not like free streaming, like not like one of your services that you use. The way that I would advertise, because I would love for Hallmark to be a sponsor of this lovely podcast of ours, is you can sign up for Hallmark Plus, I think it's called, and you can get like all of the Hallmark movies and Hallmark TV shows and all the things that Hallmark does. Hallmark Mystery. I love a Hallmark mystery.
Me too.
You say Hallmark so many times, it becomes difficult to say. But I love a
It's a
Hallmark
real
mystery.
toy boat situation.
It is. I love Hallmark Family. I love the Golden Girls on Hallmark. Like I love all of like Hallmark in general. You can do it through Hallmark Plus or whatever their streaming app is called. But how I did it, sorry Hallmark, was I rented it on well not sorry because they got my money. On Prime Video is how I rented it.
See, your method of watching it is what I should have done. I should
What
have
did you
just
do?
paid the $3 or whatever and rented it.
Yeah.
So, this movie, the experience of watching this movie was nearly ruined by two different apps that I tried to watch this on, free with ads.
God,
These
oh
are
God.
okay, these are two apps that very much exist. These are streaming apps. One is called Zumo Play and the other is called Plex. They sound entirely made up. I have complaints for both of them. So, I watched the majority of this on Plex. First was the audio levels between like the audio levels for the movie were at
Mhm.
one level, which was like very much like this, I can hear. And then
Yeah.
anytime it cut to a commercial, it was like the audio levels were
Oh, loud.
jacked up
Yeah,
so
they do
loud.
that. So
And
annoying.
I complained to Stan and Stan was like, I was like, somebody's not doing their job. And Stan was like, that's intentional. He's like, Congress is
Yeah.
actually trying to pass a law to make it so that the streaming apps
Yes.
can't do that because they're
It's
trying to
so annoying.
jolt your body into paying to like looking at the TV. So that
Yes.
was my first complaint was like I had to keep adjusting the audio levels. Also, there were no subtitles and there were moments where our sexy actors
Oh
were,
God,
you
so
know,
sexy.
and maybe it's just me using captions and then maybe it's I'm relying on them too much. Sometimes couldn't tell what they were saying because there were no closed captions. Okay.
Yeah.
My bigger gripe was Plex put commercial breaks in the worst spots. Like a few examples, like the most egregious example, spoiler alert, there's a moment where Betty White collapses just like she's at the Golden Girls
Mm,
school reunion and
mm.
Jennifer Love
Not Kim
Hewitt
Fung
goes
Toy.
she collapses and Jennifer Love Hewitt goes, oh my God, call 911. And then it cuts to a commercial before she even finishes saying 911
You know the irony is maybe they didn't want to do free advertising for Jennifer Love
for
Hewitt on
911.
911.
Yeah. Like it was there was a part where she like knocks on Betty White's door and Betty answers.
Mhm.
She's like, hello. And she's like, hi, I'm Susan. And then it just cuts to a commercial. I was like,
You
what the
know,
fuck?
you know that it was some intern's job to place the ads in these films, and the Gen Z kid who probably was tasked with placing the ads in these things was like, hey, I'm not going to watch this. Oh,
They were like,
20,
fuck you. Just
40,
here, put it. Yeah.
60, and just like put it in the places. You got if there's a real art, which is why when we do our ads, we try hard to like have that outro music so it starts and then you hear it. And we can't control how loud it is. Sorry, people. But like the ads, at least, we can't control that. But, we try.
So anyway, I'm just going to recommend to people do not watch this on Zumo
Yeah.
Play or Plex.
Yeah.
Do the
Don't.
Hallmark Channel thing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to, before we talk about what's in the Rusty Anchor Happy Hour, well, actually, no, Rusty Anchor Happy Hour this week, we're watching a behind the scenes video of Jennifer Love Hewitt and Betty White talking about their experience doing this movie. It's very, very sweet. I also have a really cute little Oreo story and piece of artwork to share. My
Oh.
kid is the funniest kid on the planet.
Oh.
So it's about butts.
Oh, I love butts. I love
She does too.
butts.
So
Oh.
we'll be talking about that over in the Rusty Anchor
Yeah,
Happy Hour on the
if you
Patreon.
do well, I want to talk about the sexy actors too for a second, but if you do, and we also have to talk about something fun happening on another
Yes.
channel this summer as well. So sexy actors, fun channel. But before we get to that, if you do want to watch this or any of the great programs that Hallmark provides, it is called Hallmark Plus. You can just go to hallmarkplus.com. It's $7.99 a month. We aren't getting paid for this. This is not an ad, but I'm just saying Hallmark is great. You should support Hallmark, but you also get like so many good deals when you sign up for Hallmark Plus. I'm looking at it now. You get like discounts on stuff, and it's like it seems like actually a good streaming service. Like Netflix ain't giving me discounts on coffee and shit.
That's the commercial tagline.
Yes.
Netflix ain't giving you discounts on coffee and shit. Hallmark.
I mean, not no,
Cut
no,
this as a
sexy.
clip and tag Hallmark in it all over the place.
Beg Hallmark. No,
Um,
the actors in this. Should I save it for no? Should I? No,
save it. We need to talk about
okay.
save the sexy actors, because the last thing I want to say about the Patreon, which you can check out at patreon.com/Golden Girls Podcast, we will be having another live watch along on Saturday, June 20th at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1 p.m. No, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 p.m.
Yeah,
Pacific Standard Time. Thank you.
yeah.
You guys
Thank
know I'm
you.
terrible at those.
Thank you.
And I think the votes will be going up later this week. I thought it would be fun this month if we watched a season premiere episode. So all of the options for you guys to choose of the Golden Girls episode that we'll watch at our live watch along party will all be season premiere episodes, because it's the
Ooh.
start of summer. It's the beginning. So we're very excited. Again, you can check all that out, patreon.com/Golden Girls Podcast. You get ad-free
Yeah.
episodes. You get tons of video content. You get a weekly bonus episode of the Rusty Anchor Happy Hour. You get interviews with cast, crew. You get so much amazing stuff.
You
So,
do.
and you also support us in this podcast, which we love doing and bringing to you every week.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's so fun. I love it. Y'all should come join. Speaking of great networks, I think as Golden Girls fans, we have there's a soft spot in our heart for Lifetime, because so many of us, I think, started our Golden Girls experience watching the reruns on Lifetime. I think that was originally how so many of us started. I know that was my resource, was to watch that, and then Intimate Portrait and all those things. So Lifetime is a special one for us. Hallmark is a special one for us because obviously they show Golden Girls, or they have previously. TV Land is another one. Logo has always been very good to the Golden Girls. So, like, Golden Girls fans have a devotion to networks. And now one of those networks that need to be added into the rotation of love from the Golden Girls audience. We've talked about it previously. It is MeTV. I love MeTV, and MeTV all summer is having the Golden Girls of Summer. They're having, they sent us, Kerri, you got it too, correct? They sent us all of this stuff on the Golden Girls of Summer, and it is there right now. And when this episode drops, if you're listening to this the day it drops, they're doing the best of Dorothy between now and June 12th. And then after that, they're doing the best of Rose starting June 15th. And then starting June 22nd, they're doing the best of Blanche. And then starting June 29th, they're doing the best of Sophia. There is so much Golden Girls fun happening. Which one did you get?
I got a
Kerri?
Sophia doll as well. You're holding up
Yeah.
a Sophia doll for those listening.
And did you get the sock too?
I got the socks. Yeah.
Yeah, I got the socks. Yeah, and there's stickers, and there's like they gave us some cheesecake, and it's just like all kinds of great MeTV branded stuff. You know what I love about MeTV? I love that there's nothing else they're trying to do. They're not trying to sell us, Christmas cards. They're not trying to
You're
sell us.
backpedaling on what you literally just
No,
said 30
no,
seconds
no,
ago about being
no,
excited about
the
coffee.
streaming service discount I'll take. But from a network television station that you can get, and MeTV is over the air for a lot of people. So, like, you can get MeTV, you can access it really, really easily. It's not a cable thing. It's not a paid thing. And what I love about MeTV is that they're not trying to be anything other than great nostalgic television. They're not trying to be cool. They're not trying to it's literally just like, we know what you want, and you want great nostalgic TV. And so we're just going to give you that. And I love that. I love that. And they're doing that all summer with the Golden Girls of Summer, which is fantastic.
Amazing. Yeah. Check it out. Like we said, best of Dorothy, best of Rose, best of Blanche, best of Sophia. You can go to metv.com/schedule to get the full schedule and where to watch. Check it out, because we will go anywhere and do anything for Golden Girls content. So it's very, very exciting.
But it is, For me, it's like doubly exciting because it makes the Golden Girls so much more accessible. You don't have to have a streaming thing. You don't have to have cable. It is just so easy to be able to access. And I love, 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 love that. Yeah.
I was like, if I don't say anything, how long will this pause last? Um,
It'll pause as long as that Plex commercial did
oh
within
God,
awkward spots. Yeah.
don't even get me started. Um,
Oh, should we get to the
should
episode though? Because there's
yeah,
so
yeah. We have a
much.
lot to talk about.
We have a lot to talk about. Okay, we'll be right back. I want to start things off talking about the Lost Valentine, available on Hallmark Plus, by saying that not only was this a fantastic film featuring the
So good.
fantastic, lovely, I cried so many times,
I
Betty
cried.
White.
I could,
Buckets, buckets. But the talent involved, first off, one of my favorite things about watching a television movie is seeing talent before they're super famous. Do you know what I mean?
yep.
And in this, we have two people who were featured who have gone on to much bigger success. Billy Magnuson, who I interviewed for Newsweek not too long ago, and it was one of my favorite chats. He's such a nice guy. He's so nice. And then Megan Fahey, who was of White Lotus fame. This
And
is
drop.
and well, yes, that too. She is like very, very big now, very all over the place now, dating the guy from White Lotus, the kid who the nephew or whatever.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Leo Woodall. So yeah, I mean, so two famous people, but then you also have the girl from Sex and the City who was the SNL casting agent who gave Kerri the face when about her ex Aiden and stuff. She's the SNL girl. So that was the friend,
Oh,
the producer
that was her
friend.
producer friend.
Yeah, that was her. But then you have this. I don't know this actor, but
I didn't either.
Sean Faris. This cast is so hot. This
They're
cast,
so hot.
this Hallmark cast, whoever is the casting director for this Hallmark film, obviously was like, you know what? Hallmark needs some heat.
Yeah, they all deserved Billy Magnuson and Megan Fahey especially deserved awards.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they were so we'll get into it, but Megan Fahey plays a young Betty White and Billy Magnuson plays her husband Neil. They were so good. Like
Yeah.
you guys, you have to I just kept pausing it and I would pause it and then Plex would kick me out and I would have to start it from the beginning again with 3 commercials. But I would keep pausing it to tell
Just
Stan, I'm like,
meant it.
get into the room and watch this. Like they were
They were so
hot and so
hot.
good. So good.
There are so many moments. Another thing, I love a TV movie. I love a TV movie because TV movies, some TV movies have budgets. Other TV movies have budgets, but the budget is mainly going to the major talent involved in the project and less about location shooting. And this one clearly, it was a very well-made film. But like, for example, there are some war scenes where you can tell the plants were bought at Home Depot. And there's there's like some little like there's a start in the beginning of the film. Betty White is looking at a black and white picture, and the picture is clearly a 2011 picture that it just is in black and white. Like
I did notice
not,
that.
and it's not like, and I love that shit.
It's
I
supposed
love
to
that
be like
shit.
66 years old.
I love that shit. But
yeah.
everyone is this Sean Faris, the love interest of Jennifer Love Hewitt.
I couldn't take my eyes off of him.
My God. I mean,
he was hot, charming. Him and Jennifer Love Hewitt. Every time they were in a scene together, I was like, I know this is a Hallmark movie, but I just want to see them bang. Like
I know. I just wanted to see them bang. I wanted to see her whisper to his ghost. You know what I mean? Like I needed more of that because Betty White, and part of me thinks, because we all know Betty White very much like Sadie, full on hornball, like full on hornball of a lady. She was always flirting. She was always saying something sort of inappropriate, but always appropriate. And I have a feeling she took one look at this Billy Magnuson or Megan Fahey or like Sean Faris and was like, Yeah, I'm gonna look at them. I wanna, yeah, yeah. I want Sean Faris as my grandson. Yeah, that's what I want. Like that,
Yeah.
literally. I just hope Betty White got a few good hugs. You
I'm
know?
sure she got a few good hugs. I bet everybody on
Yeah,
that set hugged Betty White.
yeah,
So to get into the premise of this movie, so this is about it takes place half of it during World War II and then half of it present day in 2011. It's like evenly split right down the middle between
yeah.
flashbacks and present day, which it does kind of make it feel like two different movies, but the same movie at the same time.
You can tell
Uh,
it's very much inspired by The Notebook. The actual layout, like how the film unfolds, is very much Notebook coded, which was enjoyable for me in TV movie format.
we should find out, when did The Notebook come out, because this was also based on a
Much,
book by James
m-
Michael Pratt.
The Notebook came out, I think, in yeah, 2004, so or much earlier.
Got it.
Yeah,
So the premise of this is there's a TV journalist, Susan Allison, who's played by Jennifer Love Hewitt. She's working on a profile of a woman, Caroline Thomas, whose husband, naval aviator Lieutenant Neil Thomas, was declared MIA 60 years ago during World War II. Susan immediately clashes with Caroline's grandson, sorry, hot grandson, Lucas.
Sean
Uh,
Faris.
and she ends up doing a story, an interview and a story on Betty, and she spends a lot of time with them, and it kind of makes her rethink her own thoughts and feelings about love and her own relationship with her boyfriend,
Because
who's a
she was about to get
photographer.
engaged to this guy, and the whole time she's all like, "Yeah, Sean Faris, come stretch me out," because he works. He's like a physical therapist.
I
Yeah,
have so much. I have a lot of
yeah.
thoughts about that.
I
Um,
loved his book. His book, like, did you see the cover of his book at the end? It
I
was
did see the
actually,
cover of his book. It
God, I
was
love this movie.
I know. I'm like, we're gonna jump all over the place today. We just have to.
Yeah.
Okay, we will get to the book. We will get to the book. Quick thing about this. In December of 2011, Betty White received a nomination, a SAG award for outstanding performance by a female actor in a miniseries or television movie for her performance. And anyone who's listening to this or knows someone who thinks that Betty White's talents are limited to comedy,
Watch
tell them to
this.
watch this, and shut the hell up,
Because
because
you know what's, Betty
Betty White
delivers.
delivered. There were so many tight shots of her
Yeah. Yeah.
just emoting and
Crying.
her
Yeah.
and crying, and it was so
You know what I liked
so
about it?
delicate, and it was so, and you know that she was pulling from her own
Yeah.
loss of of the one great love and of her life, Alan Ludden.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen this kind of acting from Betty White before. I was
You know what
blown
I
away.
liked about it was that, you know, sometimes I feel like when an actor who is known for one thing, like, like comedy, and they're known for doing one thing, when they go in the direction of something that is outside of what they're known for, a lot of times it's extreme. Do you know what I mean? It's like they have to do something so far to the right of what they're known for to show that they're an actor. And what I like about this is it's still Betty. Like, Betty is not doing some high character performance. It's still the Betty we know, but it's
Yeah,
Betty.
she's not Heath Ledger doing Joker.
No, no, not at all. She's doing Betty that we know, but bringing that emotion, and she's using that love that we have for Betty, and then it makes the emotion that she brings out in this film, it makes it even bigger, because it's like almost like watching Betty mourn the loss of a husband or something. It's just it She's so good in this.
She's so good. She's so good. So I don't know about you. Opening scene. I cried by the end of the opening scene.
Mm,
So the movie, where it's Valentine's Day, we're at an old train station. We've got
yeah.
Billy Magnuson and Megan Fahey. They're this, or actually, it starts with Betty walking in, present day Betty walking in with her hot grandson in arm, and every Valentine's Day she goes to this train station. It was the last place she saw her husband Neil 60 years ago before he was shipped off to war and disappeared, and this is also their wedding anniversary. So then we get to the flashback. Megan Fahey, she's pregnant. He's getting on the train. They're talking about their future together. You guys just have to watch this. We're not even
You
going to do it
have
justice by
to.
talking about it. But he's like, he promises that he's going to come back.
Mm-hmm.
She gives him this little note that
I
she wrote on a heart. She's like kind of chasing after the train, and the
did you
two of them,
notice?
just their eyes. There's so much happening behind the eyes. It's so
They're so
beautiful.
good. Yeah, they're good. My favorite thing though is so Billy Magnuson is a great actor. He is a great actor. He's done some really great work over the years. But he's also like very funny. Like like there's something he does a lot of comedies because he
Yeah.
is inherently and when I interviewed him a couple months ago, I like talked to him about how he's so hot, he could be a leading actor and he could just lean into that and not like leading man actor, like typical, and like not be funny. But yet he wants to like go in the silly, crazy, fun direction sometimes because he wants to not just do the hot things. And in this, when the train is taking off, now this is a young Billy before he was like more famous, but when the train's taking off, there's so like this is clearly an emotional scene and this is like an emotional part or whatever, and you would think he does this wave to Megan Fahey's character. He does this wave and like typical my choice as an actor in that moment would be to do like a slow emotional wave, like a
So
like
just you're doing like a
just
princess float wave for
kind
those
of, yeah, but
listening.
like what a man would do. Billy full on does a 5-year-old
Bye.
bye. Bye, I'm going to war. Like it was so cute and
Oh,
funny and stupid. I don't think it was meant to be funny or stupid, but I found it funny and stupid.
they definitely in these scenes, they definitely had this is where they had the budget, as you
Yes.
mentioned, because
Mm-hmm.
the period piece stuff, the extras, the wardrobe, just a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful score throughout, the vehicles in the
Mm-hmm.
background, everything, the production design. It was so thoughtful, and it really did look like it. I really did feel like I was watching two different movies because the
Mm-hmm.
cinematography beautiful. Then when we get back to present day, I'm like, oh yeah, this feels like a Hallmark kind of rom com movie.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and what else is sweet that I loved about um watching these scenes is their love story felt a lot like Rose and Charlie. Like later
Yeah.
on, we learned that Caroline and Neil met in grade school. And then
Mm-hmm.
as they reconnected when they got a little bit older, she sold war bonds. They were working together, like planting this victory garden. Oh, and then the first time they kiss, when Dream a Little Dream is playing and they're like sitting on a porch, and it's like, these scenes are all so beautiful.
You
Like,
know what it kind of reminded me of a little bit? Did you watch Designing Women? I forget.
yeah, not really.
Okay. Well, in a later season of Designing Women, but Jean Smart season still. So it was like, I think maybe season 5 or something. There's a moment, it was during the not Iraq War, but the Gulf War. And her husband, Jean Smart's husband, Charlene's husband in the show, was like shipped off to Gulf War or something. And I could be confusing the storyline. Please forgive me because I know a lot of people listening are mega Designing Women fans as well, in addition to Golden Girls. But there's a moment in which there's like a fantasy flashback sort of scene where they're all 1950s sort of war, or 40s like war, and they're all in the outfits and Julia Sugarbaker's singing and dancing and everyone's doing a thing, and it's very much like this in that it was like, let's do a war episode, and you have all these things, and she's genuinely worried about her husband going to war, and
Mhm.
that's where the thought comes in because she's watching all these old movies about war and all this stuff. And it kind of reminded me a little bit of that episode of Designing Women, for those who know.
For those who know, I do not know.
Hmm.
So then back in or fast forward in 2011, so then we meet Jennifer Love Hewitt, the number one on the call sheet, the lead. She plays Susan, a journalist for
I
American
actually,
Diary on
I don't think she was number
GMTV.
one. I don't think she was number one. I think Betty
She was
was.
an no, she was an executive producer. Did you see Jennifer Love Hewitt had
Oh,
EP credit? She was number one.
you think so?
I do think so.
You think she might have given up her number one for Betty? I think she
Oh,
might
she
have.
would have in a heartbeat. But
Yeah.
she had more screen time than Betty did.
Yeah.
My
True.
yeah. Yeah, and you know Betty. Betty didn't give a shit. She was like, "I'm just happy to be here. Have hot dogs and vodka in my trailer. I'm so great."
Can we
So,
talk about Jennifer Love Hewitt's makeup for a second?
oh my God, I wanted to
Because
talk about her eyelashes. Can we talk about her
yes, please,
eyelashes?
I will talk
Oh,
about all of her makeup.
oh my
I
gosh.
am
I was obsessed with her lashes.
you know what it kind of is? You know what it kind of is when I'm looking at Jennifer Love Hewitt? And let me just say, I say this in all respect. Jennifer Love Hewitt at this point is a veteran of Hollywood. She is a Hollywood woman who has done the work. She's a legend. She has a reputation for being an icon, obviously, and that comes with looking a particular way. And I don't think I've ever seen, I'm sure it's out there, but I don't think I've ever seen Jennifer Love Hewitt gritty. Why? Because I want Jennifer Love Hewitt with massive lashes. I want the eye makeup done. I want the blush on. I want the hair big. Like, that's how I want my Jennifer Love Hewitt. And guess what she did? She gave us that in the Lost Valentine. Like, the lashes are on. They extend past her eyebrows almost. It is just so incredible.
They looked like two goth butterflies just
Yes.
sleeping, resting atop
Yes.
her upper lid. Her
Yes.
lashes went on for days. They
Dolly
were
Parton
gorgeous.
coded. Dolly Parton coded, but in a beautiful, beautiful way. I
I
love
loved
Jennifer
her
Love Hewitt.
bangs. She had like a, I don't want to call it like the Snooki bouffant, but that's just what I think of. But she had this very
Yeah.
classy, it was okay. She also drove a green VW Bug,
Yep.
which
Which
for
is
a
just
minute I was
so
like, I was like,
perfect.
did this take place in 1999 or 2011? Because I
It's
remember
so
VW Bugs were huge when I
perfect.
was in high school, which is
Oh
crazy that I was in
God.
high school in 1999. I'm only 20.
Yeah.
So Jennifer Love Hewitt's boss wants her to do this big story on Betty and how she goes to
Yeah.
the train station every Valentine's Day waiting for her husband to return from war. And Jennifer Love Hewitt's response to this is like, I don't really see the story here. Like, that is her take on love. That is
Well,
her take on love.
you can tell she's trying to be one of those like, I'm a serious journalist. I'm a hard journalist. I want the news. I don't want this fluff story. And then she starts doing the fluff story and it's like, oh, I guess I do have a heart.
Yeah, that's her arc.
Yeah.
Um, so so she's complaining about how like this isn't a story.
Yeah.
And then what makes this embarrassing for her is that she's saying all of this in front of Betty's hot grandson Lucas, who had come to the station to like pitch the story or to talk about
Yeah.
the story. So they
Mhm.
immediately get off on the wrong foot, which of course
Yeah.
does mean that they will fall in love later. Um, but
Yeah.
like any Hallmark movie, our female protagonist has a boyfriend who of course is totally wrong for her. So her boyfriend is a travel photographer. He's never around. He's always
The
out of the
amount I
country.
want to know his cell service because he was able to get a call in the middle of a jungle, which was actually the state of Georgia that was supposed to be a jungle
Like
far
the
away.
Philippines, yeah.
Yeah. And that's another thing I want to talk about. The war scenes that clearly took part in like a national forest in Georgia. But I
They spent all that budget on the train and the cars.
they really did.
Leave them
They really
alone.
did.
They were
But
doing the best they could.
But I forget what I was even saying now, but I was obsessed. I was obsessed. I'm
Oh,
obsessed.
about
I'm
how
obsessed.
her boyfriend, he's traveling all the
Oh
time.
yeah. Yeah.
And so I don't know if you were, I was totally caught off guard. So when we meet the boyfriend, we meet him for the first time. Jennifer Love Hewitt and him, they're having like dinner out on their like veranda
Yeah.
with her producer best friend and her boyfriend. So they're having like
Yeah.
a couple's dinner. Again,
Yeah.
we've just met this boyfriend.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh boy, you're buttering me up with a dinner and candles. Like where's your job taking you now?" And
Yeah.
he's like, "It's kind of a long-term thing." And he pulls out an engagement ring. And I was like, "Oh, okay, we're here." And she just looks at him like he asked her to like eat his shit. Like she glared at him
What a
like
direction that sentence went in. Wow.
she was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like it's a Hallmark movie, so she
Yeah.
didn't say that. But like I was like, "Oh God." And then her friends are there and it's like so awkward.
It is
And
so uncomfortable. Anyone who's been in a relationship, maybe hasn't been in this situation, but you've all been in a situation where you look at your partner and they have said something or you have said something and whatever you just did or whatever they just did was not the thing to do in front of other people. And
Yeah, and
and
she says that. And
yeah,
she's like she's upset because she's like, one, she's like, "You didn't even ask me to marry you. You just, like, opened a box and put it in front of me."
yeah,
Um, but her whole issue with him is he's always traveling for work. She's like, "We barely know each other."
which is crazy.
She
Which is
says, "We barely know each other." So, and they're having this argument. Their friends can like hear everything they're saying, but they're having this
yeah,
argument. And he's like, "So what are we breaking up?" And she was like, "No, there's a difference between, she's like, "I'm not saying we're breaking up. I'm just saying no to your shitty your shitty marriage proposal." So then he leaves to go to like Fiji. Where does he go? I don't know. I think
yeah, I
he
think
goes
some faraway
he leaves
place.
he leaves
Yeah,
to go somewhere, and like he
yeah.
leaves, and like we'll circle back with that clown later. So Jennifer Love Hewitt's
There's
boss is
actually
like,
nothing to really circle back to with him. It doesn't work out, guys. It doesn't
well,
work
they
out
know
with
that, but
the
he does
loser.
come back as part of the plot later. Um
Yes, that's the most important thing later on.
So the boss is like, "You're going to do the story on Betty." So Jennifer Love Hewitt's like, Fine." So she goes to Betty and knocks on the door, and she was like, "Hi, I work for like American Dye or whatever. I want to do a story about you." And Betty's like, "No, that's okay. I'm not really interested." And so Jennifer Love Hewitt's like, "I know your grandson, Lucas. He's my friend." And
Which, I mean,
lies.
listen, I will admit to relating to that because
Me too.
there are things that sometimes you have to say to get the thing you need to get. And if it can be just a little bit of a stretch of the truth, just a smidge of a stretch, then and it works, well then okay, write it.
Can I take us on a tiny tangent to tell you something
Sure,
psychotic that I did when I was like
please.
13?
Oh
Okay.
my god.
So
Yes. I was
yeah.
hoping it was like last year, but yeah.
No, no.
Yeah.
So when I was like 13, 14 years old, I was obsessed. And this is crazy because it's like such a dark movie. But did you ever see the movie Sleepers? It's really
Mm-hmm.
okay. So it's dark. So there was a young actor in Sleepers. His name was Joe Perino, and he played the main kid, Shakes. And I thought he was so talented. So talented, in fact, that my friend Sarah and I decided we were going to write a movie, 14. We were going to write a movie for him. It was going to be a vehicle for him to star in. And so we wrote up like a one-page idea, and I was like, "Well, I got to pitch it to him." No idea how we were going to get this thing made. We're 14. So at the time they had like you could literally go online and look up like the white pages. This is also how I tried to call that Taylor Hanson when I was 13 with a bunch of quarters in the church parking lot at the payphone, calling every Hanson in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Anyway, I printed out all the Perinos. I knew he was from the Bronx, so I printed all the Perinos like in New York. And I just started calling them one by one, asking for Joe, asking for Joe. I'm getting all the wrong numbers. So finally, the last number I call, this little Italian woman picks up and picks up the phone, and I go, "Hi, is Joe there?" Like assuming I got another wrong number. And she was like, "Oh, he's out getting a haircut. Can I take a message?" And I was like, yeah. I was like, "This is a friend of his from school." So I also lied just like she did. I was like, "This is a friend of his from school. My name's Kerri. Can you have him call me?" And then I gave him my phone number. The whole day goes by. Later that night, I'm home alone. I'm watching Sleepers at like full blast and like eating cake. My phone rings and it's Joe Perino. He's like, "Hi, you called?" And I was like, "Hi, my name's Kerri. I live in Massachusetts. My friend Sarah and I have this idea for a movie, and we wrote it for you, and we want you to be in it." And God bless this boy. So he was 16. He was a couple years older than me. God bless this boy. He was not like, "You're crazy. How did you get my number?" He listened to my pitch and he was like, "Wow, that sounds like a really cool idea." And then he had to tell me what the Screen Actors Guild was and how my movie wasn't SAG. He couldn't do it. But he goes, "I wish you all the luck in the world." And I know this because I had an audio recording because I recorded our
Wait,
phone call. Of course I did because I was a psycho.
have
So
you
I got off the
messaged him
phone.
since? Please tell me
Listen,
you have.
it gets better.
Wow.
So, I hang up the phone. I cry. I call my friend Sarah. I was like, "Joe Perino's not going to do our movie," and she's like, "Kerri, there is no movie." And I was like, "Shut up! Stop stomping on my dreams, everyone." So years later, fast forward, it's like 2012. I'm living in New York. I remembered this story. I'm telling it at a comedy show. And I was like, "I wonder if I can find this guy." I found Joe Perino on Facebook. I sent him a message. I was like, this is so random. I was like, I'm a comedian, I'm a writer. I was like, do you remember this phone call? And he writes back like in a day. He goes, "Oh my God, I remember this phone call." Do you want to meet for coffee? And he was like, "Yes." So
Ah!
so we had like a coffee date. It wasn't like a date, but it was a coffee date. And he
Yeah.
was like, "Yeah, I remember going like, how did this girl get my number?" But he's like, "But it was like also really impressive how you were hustling." And so we had this really, really great time together. And then I did another comedy show and I told the story and then I brought him out on stage to get his side of it, his perspective of it.
Ah.
So we've stayed in touch over the years. I think he's like married with a kid now. Joe Perino, super, super nice guy, very
Yeah, he
talented.
was on
Support
The
him in all his work.
Sopranos. He was on The Sopranos, an
Oh,
episode of The Sopranos. Yeah.
Stan is watching that right now.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Wow.
I'm going to text Stan.
Text Stan.
Okay. With that, we need to
Sorry,
take
that was
a
such
break.
a long story.
This is going to be a long episode, and I already know that. I think I know that. Sorry, y'all. Buckle up.
So one thing that's so sweet about Betty, and we have a clip of this. So she volunteers with the local VA hospital and rehab center, and she like reads the magazines, and it's really cute. She's funny and charming, and it actually feels like the real Betty in this moment. So I think we should play that clip.
Feel free to cancel me for this, but someone who looks like Sean Faris doesn't use the word indignant. Doesn't use the word indignant. They just don't. They just don't. Someone that hot does not use casually the word indignant unless they're doing that episode of Friends where Joey found out what a thesaurus was.
That is a very funny episode. So I know we're going to talk so much about Betty. I promise. The last thing I want to say about her grandson. So just him and no, but I'm not because I have a clip. But okay,
there's so much more about the grandson. It's
so. At one point, so after the thing with the vets, he's talking to Jennifer Hewitt about how special his grandma is. And he's like, she has spent her whole life taking care of other people. My dad, me, now these vets, all since she was 20 years old. And now I want to take care of her. And me, I was like, oh, an emotionally healthy, selfless man, like swoon. This is so sexy. Jennifer Love Hewitt goes, "You're unusual."
Which is so what you would say. Okay, can I just tell you right now? I did a deep dive on Sean Faris. I did a deep dive on Sean Faris. He's an MTV Movie Award winning actor. Let me just say that he won in 2008 for a Best Fight for a film called Never Back Down. Never saw it. It's a martial arts film. But what I love, he was also in Pearl Harbor. That was one of his first films. He was a model. He's from Texas. He started as a model. But one of my favorite things about him, which I don't know why this made me excited when I read it, but he married his wife in 2017 at Burning Man. Like they got married at Burning Man, which in some weird way just tells me these people are cool. These people, like, I mean, I wouldn't want to go to Burning Man.
No,
but I'd love the pictures.
There's a scene where Jennifer Love Hewitt clearly shows up at his job just like to talk to him, and she's interested. And at one point, he's like, "Wait,
the hips.
Wait, why are you here?" And she's like, "My hip flexors," because in the
and
last
she just turns
scene,
around real quick, and it's just like her butt in her face.
Yeah, in the last scene, he was like, "Your hip flexors look tight," and we later learn he's a physical therapist. But then he's like, "Look, I can teach you some moves for your hip flexors," and then he just shows her how to do a lunge.
I'm obsessed. Please treat yourself to a Google image search of Sean Faris.
In his book. So then later he has like this really big book launch at a store, and it's called One Stretch Fits All. And Jennifer Love Hewitt shows up like in an angel Halloween costume.
She clearly left the set of The Ghost Whisperer for Lost Valentine.
And she shows up to talk to him and just cuts ahead in line, and he's like, "My fans."
So good. And Betty White's looking from afar, and it's just...
Oh, she wants to see them get together.
She wants to see them do more than just get together. We all know that.
So, okay, this is okay, this is we're gonna play this clip and then we're gonna talk a lot about Betty. So the scene, the scene where he comes to her door
Yeah.
and I was like, and they're like about to kiss, but
Oh
they
yeah.
don't. They
Oh
had so
yeah.
much chemistry. I was like,
Oh
let's all collectively get turned on by watching this.
yes. I hope you're watching the episode because this is a good one to watch. Sean Faris appreciation. Okay. I don't know. Somewhere in North Hollywood, there's an acting school where they teach hot guys who are going to be in TV movies how to speak in a very specific way. And I'm going to do it right now. Okay. So when you're flirting, you have to go, so, do you want me to leave? And then the woman goes, no, but I think you should. And then he has to go, but.
Great eyebrow work. Um, I was like, this is amazing. I really thought they were gonna kiss in that moment. I was like, oh no, they're not kissing. When they do finally kiss, I don't know if you noticed this. When they do finally kiss, she's so casually talking about how the military is going to be shipping his grandfather's body back to the States.
Yes. They like
I was like,
this
what?
this
She's like,
thing this
I want
bonkers
to. I
but
almost want to
incredible.
find. I almost want to find that clip and play it. You guys just need to watch this movie. She's
It's
like,
so good.
she's like saying it all flirty. She's like, so they're gonna bring his body back to the States, and then they kiss, and I'm like, what? This is
Which
the
I will, you
moment.
know what? Listen. This is you told an embarrassing story from your youth. Now I'm going to tell an embarrassing story from my
Great.
youth. So when my step grandpa died and we had just moved into our house, like just moved in, like the new house that we had built, like a month, and then he died. And my mom was like, have him come die here. And I was like, Mom, we just moved in. Like, it's horrible. He was an old man. It's not like he was a young man who died. Anyway, but I was also me, and so I was like, no, don't invite someone to die a month into moving into a house. It's gonna lower the real estate. Anyway, so Grandpa came in to die, and then he died, and my best friend came over, and I didn't have like really any relationship. I had a little bit of one, but not much of one with this guy. He was a step grandpa, didn't know him very well. But this guy who I would go on to lose my virginity to, very shortly after that. Um, boy, did I ham up those emotions. Boy, was I trying to find any way to be like, I'm sad. Oh, I'm mourning. I'm gonna miss him so much. You want to kiss?
Oh
Like,
gosh.
like, like I did, and you know what? Like, it did. If anything, this is me just realizing this now. We're having therapy here, people. If anything, that moment of me milking the emotion led to a stronger emotion with this guy who I eventually would go on to lose my virginity to. So, thank you, Grandpa,
There
for
you
dying.
go. There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
There's an unexpected bright side. Oh my gosh. So God, where to go back? So
No,
the
this is where you go back. This is where we go back. Okay, so Jennifer Love Hewitt realizes that she has to get the information about what really happened to Betty's missing husband
to Neil,
and
yeah.
to Neil. And so she does what any great journalist does, and they use the resources they have and the people they know in order to get more information. And ultimately, what we find out about Neil is that Neil was a fucking saint. Neil might have looked hot in that Navy suit, but Neil was basically next to God. He was out here in the war. His plane crashed in the Philippines, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, his plane crashed in the Philippines, and Jennifer Love Hewitt's character finds out that the son of the man that Neil he saved. They didn't know he saved him, but Jennifer Love Hewitt goes to try to get information, and she learns that this Neil guy actually is the reason why his dad lived, was because he said, no, take him to get help. I'll stay here. I'm better. I'll stay here. And so that's new information. And so then, because Neil stayed in one place, then Jennifer Love Hewitt, as a good journalist, knows there's got to be more information here. There's got to be people on the Philippine side who might know something about what happened to this man. And ultimately, she gets to that. And it's really what I think is the actual details of what happened with Neil, while important, and it was a really good part of the film. What I think is so important about this is that it shows Betty White's character and the satisfaction of like closing this chapter for her. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Because there was so much she didn't know, and she was holding out hope for so long. And ultimately, what Jennifer Love Hewitt's character is able to give her is closure.
Mhm. Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful for her to find out what happened to her husband. He actually died like protecting a child, which was like again, like you said, shot in the whatever in a state uh
Yeah,
state
yeah. So
forest in
the
Georgia or
actual
whatever.
setting of the production was
Yeah.
clearly they moved the gym equipment, the playground
Mhm.
equipment from the area at
Yeah.
the national park. And they were like, "Great, this is the Philippines." And and then they were like, "Bring
Mhm.
in shrubbery from Home Depot." And so they did
Yeah,
that.
and they did that.
And the I love the woven sort of like shelter stuff, which is clearly what people put on their decks. Like that's what you buy from Home Depot to put on your decks. And they used it as shelter there, which is I thought was really hilarious. But what was so great about this war scene is, we learn about him protect. I mean, this guy was a literal saint. And
Yeah.
as he's dying there, he's holding his cross, he's saying a prayer, and he basically sacrificed himself for this child. He said just like
Mhm.
he sacrificed himself for his friend to live as
Mhm.
well. And what I thought was so interesting was from a journalist perspective, Jennifer Love Hewitt's character knows, okay, well, if he did that, then we're going to find out where this person died. Like we're going to
Mhm.
know there's got to be something. And that's ultimately what is able to give Betty White closure is locating the body.
Yeah, yeah. These men from the military, they bring, first they bring Neil's belongings back to her. They give her his dog tags, his watch. They announce all these posthumous awards that he's going to be getting,
We
and
have that
we
clip actually.
we do have that clip because again, I want people to watch for Betty's acting, which is so beautiful and so touching.
Well, before we get to that clip, actually, I do want to talk about there's a scene before this where Betty is on a video call with one of the soldiers. I was it a soldier? I think so, from the
Meringue.
Philippines.
Yeah,
A meringue,
meringue.
yeah. And this person is just telling the story about what happened, and you learn about how he died saving this kid and everything. And then it cuts back to Betty, and real time Betty, and it cuts back from the flashback, and Betty is just all emotion. Like there's just
Mhm.
so much emotion coming out in her that the last question is, would you be able to do you know where this is? Do you know where this happened? And the guy on the other end says, I can go there, or we can go
Mhm.
there. And it tells Betty that like this long 60-year saga of her not knowing anything is over. And Betty's performance in realizing that when that character says that on that TV screen, like she just becomes this bucket of emotion that was just it literally made me cry
Mhm.
so much.
Mhm.
Should we play that clip?
Let's play it.
So good.
Even if you're
So
just
good.
listening to that music, like I'm telling you, either watch the video version of this podcast or really just go watch this movie because
Hmm.
yeah. So,
And then in the end, they're able to bring his body back, and they have this really emotional service where actual service members, I
mhm.
learned this from the clip we're watching in Rusty Anchor Happy Hour, but actual Navy service members, these weren't actors in the film. These were real veterans. And they were bringing in the coffin of her husband, and you see Betty just standing there, and there's this beautiful shot of the coffin coming, and Betty stands up, and she's like, and it's draped in the flag, the American flag, US flag, and she is just standing there crying, and it is just such a beautiful shot. And it's like, that's my America, Betty White. That's my America.
I'm gonna admit right now that when they brought that casket out and the servicemen started performing taps and his casket was draped on the American flag, that was what they did at the service for my dad.
Mm.
I took my laptop and I slammed it shut and I went, "Done." So I didn't finish the movie, I'm
Oh,
gonna
well, then
be
let me tell you
honest.
what happens. Let me tell you what
But
happens
but
then.
but but one thing I did see that was, like, so beautiful, before all that happened, it's Valentine's Day, she's sitting in Union Station at her normal bench with her feet swinging just like at the beginning of the movie. There are cameras there, Jennifer Love Hewitt is there, and she turns to this man who worked at the train station that she would see every year, and she said, "My husband's coming home today."
Yeah,
And
which
it was
is,
so beautiful
and
and
there's this
sad.
very sad, but then at the end of the film, there's a moment in which uh she's back at home, she's working in the garden, her hot grandson is there, Sean Faris, and they previously there was a thing in which he was going to try to like take apart this rose bush that she had planted with Neil back in the 40s, and she was like, "No, no, there's still life in it." And then when she's back after the funeral and she's looking at this garden, and of course Sean Faris and Jennifer Love Hewitt presumably are out having sex. Betty White is just standing there in front of this rose bush, and she sees a rose, like a red rose, has grown from it, and it's on the bush. And as she's standing there, you have a song playing, I think it's like a Louis Armstrong song or something, like it's a classic song, and she's just standing there, and then Billy Magnuson comes up behind Betty White, and it's Betty White, and
No.
I mean, we don't see that it's Billy, but it's meant to be the old him, and he comes and he holds her, and they just sway to the song. They
Oh.
sway to the song, and and that shit, and then it cuts to the thing, and then it's over, and oh my god,
Oh
it's
god.
just
I was
so.
crying. I came down, Stan was like, "Were you just you doing the podcast, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, it was." I
This is a
said,
very
"Yeah."
special episode.
Yeah, I was like, "Yeah, they played my dad's funeral on the movie."
Oh, so
Um,
sad. So sad.
yeah,
But yeah,
but
what a good movie.
what a great movie.
Watch
Watch this
this
movie,
movie,
everybody.
and
Watch
then
it.
treat yourself to just go to google.com and type in Sean Faris shirtless. And that's your treat for watching. If you have to pay $2.99 or whatever you rent, or you sign up for Hallmark Plus, then go treat yourself to a free search of Sean Faris hot, because there's a lot of it there. Should we take a break and come back with our golden takeaways?
I think so.
I think so. And we are back with our golden takeaways, which is a nugget of truth or inspiration that you can apply to your life or the lives of our listeners. Kerri, what's your golden takeaway from this episode?
It's just a moment about her hot grandson Lucas that we didn't get to talk about. So I'm going to use my golden takeaway as that opportunity. So there's a moment where Caroline collapses, Betty collapses, and
Yes.
remember Jennifer Love Hewitt says call 911, commercial break 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really, really scary. And at the hospital, Jennifer Love Hewitt's freaking out, and Lucas shows up, and she's like, "Caroline collapsed. She's in the ICU," and he like runs off. But then, like, even though like there's all this like heightened tension and like there's this fear about not knowing what's going on, the movie needed to get back to the rom-com of it all. So like all of a sudden we see him, like a little bit of time has passed, and Lucas comes out after, again, she's been screaming, "She's in the ICU." He comes out, he's like, "She just had a mild heart attack. It's no big deal." And then they start flirting some more. I was like, "Wait, what?" There's no follow-up. He just goes, "She had a mild heart attack. It's gonna be fine." So anyway, where was I? And I was like, "Oh, this movie knows what we want. This movie knows we just want to see the
Truly.
two of them flirting."
It's so funny you said that, because my golden takeaway also is a Sean Faris moment that we couldn't we couldn't have gotten to. So my golden takeaway is at the funeral, at the funeral, everyone is there, right? And everyone's like dressed very nicely, and it's their dress for a funeral. You know what I mean? Like everyone looks really great. And then, and then it cuts to Sean Faris. And this is an example that I realized in seeing what Sean Faris wore, or his character wore, to this funeral. Is how I first related to this character, because I realized myself in situations like weddings or funerals, as a flamboyant homosexual, I can get away with a lot. I can get away with a lot. I don't of not wearing a suit, or not wearing, like, I can wear a blouse, or I can wear whatever. I can get away with a lot being a flamboyant homosexual. And what I realize is, so can hot people. Hot guys can get away with not wearing a suit or a tie, and maybe just wearing a white button-up shirt and like a blazer that looks a little bit like not funeral attire. You know what I mean? Like, it's a little too tight for funeral. It's a little too sexy for funeral. It's a little too like, oh, you went to H&M and you needed something for Easter, but it's not quite serious look, whatever. And Sean Faris's character is wearing that. And it was the first time I related to him, because I too am like that at events like that, where I can wear whatever I want, and I just need to be a little flamboyant, and I'll get away with it.
Wardrobe knew what they were doing. They were like, something tight? Yes, let's
Yes.
do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh. Well, everyone, this was The Lost Valentine. Again, 10 out of 10. You really do need to watch it. Just
You
be
really
prepared.
do.
Be prepared to deal with two very conflicting feelings in your body. You're going to feel sad and very horny at the same time. And
Which,
it's going to be
at this stage in our lives, sad horny is actually kind of a nice thing, honestly. They kind of go hand in hand at this
and
point.
hopefully Sean Faris has his Google alerts turned on so that
Oh, I hope so. Oh my God, should we tag him? Should we tag Sean Faris in our Instagram coverage? Because he'll respond.
I hope so.
I know.
Oh my gosh. Well, everyone, this has been another episode of Out on the Lanai. Thank you all so much for listening. We'll be back here next week with more Golden Girls greatness. And remember to check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Golden Girls Podcast, because we will be doing another live watch along party on Saturday, June 20th. And you can get all the details over there. That is for the $8 a month tier, but you can still get a lot of cool stuff at the $5 a month tier as well.
Yeah, and we're a part of Mom, Moguls of Media, so go support Mom, especially during this wonderful month of Pride. And you can also follow us on social media at Golden Girls Pod on Twitter, Out on the Lanai Official on Instagram, Golden Girls Pod on Facebook. And you know where to find me, but what you really should do is you should follow Sean Faris at I_M_Sean Faris, and that's Faris, Faris. You should, yeah, follow him, and let's just up his followers for a bit, guys. I mean, he has a lot of followers, so like he's fine, but like, let's give him some more.
Great. And if you want to do something else nice for the podcast, you can leave us a rating and review wherever you get your podcasts.
We reviewed Sean Faris enough.
We sure did.
And remember,
as always,
stay golden.
Stay golden.
And flirt at funerals.
Out on the Lanai is not endorsed by Whit Thomas Harris Productions, Touchstone Television, Disney, or any of its subsidiaries. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only.
All names, pictures, audio, and video clips of the Golden Girls are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective trademark and/or copyright holders.